Good afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful day here today and the end of August in Maine. Sun is shining. It's nice and dry out. It's wonderful. Today we are going to we're going to do our Mr. Rogers lesson about gratitude. Now, gratitude is certainly something we have talked about before. And in fact, I believe the very first video lesson I did way back at the very beginning of COVID, which crazy how long ago that was now. I think it was on gratitude, and we made gratitude chains. Well, we aren't going to have any craft activities today, but I am going to start with some words from Mr. Rogers about gratitude and then read you a story that we will talk a little bit about. So one of the things Mr. Rogers had to say about gratitude is as follows. I believe that appreciation is a holy thing, that when we look for what's best in a person, when we look for what's best with the person we happen to be with at the moment, we're doing what God does all the time. So in loving and appreciating our neighbor, we're participating in something sacred. And I'm going to read that again because I didn't read it very well, and because I think they're just really amazing words. So let's hear them again. I believe that appreciation is a holy thing. When we look for what's best in a person we happen to be with at the moment, we're doing what God does all the time. So in loving and appreciating our neighbor, we're participating in something sacred. And so he's saying, when we're appreciating those things around us and those people around us, that's what God does, right? God loves all God's children. So to love each other and to appreciate each other and have gratitude for everything around us, then that is something sacred. So I am going to read you a story called The Rebirth of the Sun. And I will just jump right into it. Circle round and I will tell you a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter and the sun had grown very old. All year long, the sun had worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long, the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers and the grasses so that they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon and the 8 other whirling planets as they traveled around and around and around until the poor sun was dizzy watching it all. Now, the poor tired sun could barely make it up in the morning, and after a very short time needed to sleep again. So the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer until the day was so short it was hardly worth getting up for at all. Night felt sorry for the sun. Come to my arms and rest, child, she said. After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe. So Night wrapped her great arms around the sun, and the night was very long indeed. Why does the sun go dark? Why does the dark go on so long? Asked children all over the earth. Won't the sun ever come back again? The sun is very tired, the old one said. But maybe if you children say thank you for all of the things the sun does for us, the light may return in the morning. So the children sang songs to the sun. They thought all about the things the sun gave them. What are things that you might thank the sun for? Light, warmth, the ability to help us grow, to feed the food that feeds us. So the children said, thank you for growing the lettuces and the corn and the rice and the wheat. Thank you for growing the trees of the forests and the seaweed in the oceans and the krill that feeds the whales. Thank you for stirring the air and making winds that bring the rain. Every time a child says thank you, the sun begins to feel a little warmer, a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At last the children had to go to bed. "We will stay up and wait for the sun to rise again," the old one said. "Can't we stay up too?" the children asked. "You can try, but you will get too sleepy," the old one said. "But you can each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the sun's fire. Put your candle in a very safe place and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise." So the children lit their candles and put them in very safe places, and each flame was a little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeped out from between the arms of night and saw all the little fires and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children. Together they climbed a high hill and faced to the east, the direction of the sunrise. They sang songs to the sun and ran around trying to keep warm. They waited and waited to see what dawn would bring. The sky began to turn from black to indigo to blue. Slowly, the sky grew light. A golden glow crept over the horizon. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of brightness, the sun appeared, new and strong and shining. For in the long night, the sun had rested well and grown young from the songs and the thanks of the children, young as a brand new baby born out of the night once more. Everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down. "The sun has returned! The sun is reborn!" the people cried, and they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and then went home to breakfast. So that is the story of the rebirth of the sun. So why do you think hearing, I wonder why all the thank yous the sun heard, every time the sun heard thank you, it gained more energy. How do you feel when someone thanks you for something? Doesn't it feels good? Doesn't it kind of make you warm inside, right? So makes you feel warmer and brighter. So just as the sun got warmer and brighter with the thank yous and all the gratitude it was receiving, people can feel warmer and brighter from gratitude as well. And so when someone says thank you to you, it kind of makes you feel stronger and good, maybe more motivated. I know with work, when my boss says he appreciates the work I do, it makes me feel stronger and more motivated to do work even more and even harder, because I know the work I'm doing is appreciated. So it's important to say thank you for people, because it helps give them this energy and this warmth, and it makes them feel good. And it's also the polite thing to do. And it's a way of acknowledging and having gratitude and showing your gratitude towards the people around you and all they do for you. And think about, so the sun, the gifts that we have from nature. So the sun itself, that, as it said, it grows our food, it keeps us warm, and all sorts of so many other gifts from nature. The trees, the water that you can swim in and play in, trees you can climb, the beautiful sunrises. I love in this story, the story of how it describes the sun rising. And I know the next time I see a sunrise, I'm going to think of this story, and the slowly dark lightening of the dark sky to indigo, then to blue, and then slowly changing to that golden that's coming up over the horizon before the sun appears. And I will be grateful for that sunlight and for all the people that are around me that are a part of my life and do wonderful things for me. So that's all for today. So in order to, I'm going to read Mr. Rogers' words once again to end. And like we always do with these Mr. Rogers lessons, I want you to think about, during this coming week, how you can express think about what you are grateful for. And I want you to actually tell someone. It might be something in nature you're grateful for, or if it's a person you're grateful for, or someone that something someone did for you, then express your thanks to them. So here is Mr. Rogers' words again to end the lesson. "I believe that appreciation is a holy thing, that when we look for what's best in a person we happen to be with at the moment, we're doing what God does all the time. So in loving and appreciating our neighbor, we're participating in something sacred." So there's always something around us to be grateful for, even those little things. And all of that is sacred. I will see you next week.